Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Tamara. Today we are continuing, or really finishing, our fantasy series discussion with the third and final book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy. If you would like to see this in video format without ad breaks, you need to head on over to Patreon and sign up. We also have a fun after show available right now. If Patreon isn't your style, you can hear all of the after shows and exclusive content in audio-only format on the Spreaker app. Sign up as a supporter to gain access. Don't forget, you can also join me and my two co-hosts over on the Book Club's app for even more bookish chats. Please subscribe and like the podcast wherever you're listening. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me pretty much everywhere at Shelf Addiction. Joining me today is feature co-host Casey from Heart Full of Ink. Welcome back, Casey.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. And if you're on Patreon, there's something special behind me for the first time ever.
Oh, yes!
They got a bookshelf.
Yes, it's cute, too.
It's so cute.
Yes, I love it.
I will continue to decorate.
Shelf Addiction officially.
Yes, I do.
Tell everyone where they can find you online.
You can find me on Facebook at Heartful of Ink, on Instagram at Casey_Heartful of Ink, or at my website, heartfulofink.com.
Okay, so before we begin, we just want to remind you that, as always with Book Chats, we talk full spoilers here, so you've been warned. Spoiler alert. Today we are discussing Gods and Monsters, written by Shelby Mahurin. Oh my God, this is the third time and I can't say it right. Y'all know what I'm saying. The audiobook is narrated by Holter Graham and Skaska Merveld, published on July 27th, 2021 by Harper Teen and Harper Audio. The hardcover is 612 pages and the unabridged audio is 16 hours and 58 minutes. Casey, would you kindly share the synopsis?
Evil always seeks a foothold. We must not give it one. Lou has spent her whole life running. Now, after a crushing blow from Morgan, the time has come to go home and claim what is rightfully hers. But this is no longer the Lou her friends knew, no longer the Lou who's captured a chasseur's heart. A darkness has settled over her, and this time it will take more than love to drive it out. From Serpent and Dove to Blood and Honey, concluding with Gods and Monsters, Shelby Mahurin's stunning fantasy trilogy delivers thrills and romance. No, it doesn't. Sorry, that was the final paragraph, and I wasn't going to say it. And then
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't.
I started this series with high hopes, and it just slowly fizzled out, and it got worse in this final book. And so yeah. High key. No, it doesn't. That's where I'm at. High level.
Okay. So for me, this was not better than the second book. It was slightly better than the first book. And to be honest, I was just glad it was over. This wasn't the worst thing I ever read. We experienced that last year, so it's not as bad as that. Not sorry, Nora Roberts.
You're talking about Rachel Vincent.
No, actually, I think I do believe that Nora Roberts would have been worse than Rachel Vincent, and if it was any longer, we would have stopped
absolutely.
It like we stopped Rachel Vincent. Rachel Vincent, we got how many books in before we stopped?
I think we pushed to 3 books out of 6.
And actually, side note, Rachel Vincent can be the one to be thanked for us trying to stay away from long series.
Mm-hmm. We said max 3 books.
Yeah.
No more than 3.
It starts to get too risky when you have a very long-running series that is not proven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we do have one long-running series that we bring up a lot on this show, but that's
Mercy
because
Thompson
we are,
series.
we're diehards for it, right? We love it.
We were 7 or 8 books in when we started the podcast. Like, we were already like, yes, 8 books. We know we love it. We keep going with it.
Right.
But, yeah, picking up a new series with 8 books in it would be a disaster right now.
Yes. So because of that, I think there are a couple on our list that are 4 that we may or may not eventually reach, but we've really been honing in on 3 and 2 books, duologies and trilogies because of that. So with that said,
Yes.
Gods and Monsters. The end.
Thank God it's over. I think Shelby could be a good author in another 5 to 10 years if she keeps practicing her craft and honing it. But right now she's so tropey and leans on the trope and leans into the tropes and doesn't do anything unique or different with the tropes. And there were so many basic issues that, by your third book, you need to have a critique partner who yells at you and says, don't do this. Or you need to have an editor who's kicking your butt and says, all right, if you want to do this, then you need to have this type of consequence. You need to have this type of reaction. And nobody's doing that for her right now, at least not with Gods and Monsters. But if she finds that support team, she could be better.
So check this out. Because you said that, I wanted to see if she has anything new. Something called The Scarlet Veil came out in September of last year. This did not have the fanfare that God's, with this whole series, Serpent and Dove did. Because, so like I said, it came out in September of 23, and it only got 5,400 ratings.
Dang.
That says a lot to me.
People stopped reading her.
They did. And this is actually a vampire fantasy, which is different, but it's more YA. Another huge book, 640 pages.
Did they ever mention vampires in this book? They mentioned everything else under the sun. There was werewolves, there was mermaids, there was a fucking dragon that appears out of nowhere.
No, I don't remember vampires. Maybe she was saving it for The Scarlet Veil.
Maybe. But it would have made sense to bring it up in here so people would want to, keep reading the next book or spin-off series or whatever.
I know one thing. She's got this thing about French, being French. Is she French? Like,
didn't we look her up and she's from like Oklahoma or Arkansas?
Yeah. Wait, let's see. Because the names of this new book are all French. Jean-Luc.
Wait, Jean-Luc?
Yeah.
Isn't that, what's his name? Jean-Luc?
Oh, wait. Is that the wolf guy?
No. The friend who became a hero in this book.
Oh, yes.
Is it Jean-Luc?
Celie is in here. Celie.
Oh my God. Celie was the best part of the book. Okay, I'm going to read it.
This is a spinoff.
Okay. I have to say, out of everything that happened in this book, Celie was my favorite.
She was the biggest surprise.
She was the biggest surprise, but I fucking love her. So I will go read her book.
I will let you do that, and you can come back and tell me, because I honestly, no matter how much I liked that character, I don't want to read more. Not today. If you come back and say, Tamara, something changed, this is 5 stars, it's amazing, then I'll try it. But if you're not saying that high praise, I'm not even going to look at it.
Yeah. If it's not good, I won't even tell you. I'll just let it disappear into the ether. But no, her character development over the entire trilogy was the best. And I love her so much. And like, that is the one gold star thing that Shelby did with Celie. So like, okay, yes, if she has a spinoff, I want to read her spinoff, because that has been my favorite thing in this book.
I guess they go tackle vampires because it's a vampire book. So there you go. There are the vampires. But yeah, I agree. She was the best surprise. Like when she showed up and they're like, what are you doing here? She just stole stuff. She stole jewelry and she stole,
she's like, yeah, no, of course I picked my dad's lock and like stole everything out of his. It was just such a blasé, like, yes, I'm a thief. And it wasn't. They made such a big deal about Lou and Coco being thieves. But then she just, stole from her dad. And I was like, you're weird, but okay. And they never called her a thief, even though she was.
See, Celie was hiding in plain sight. Her and Lou are very similar, actually. Yeah. But the difference is she dressed a certain way. She knew how to talk. She knew how to look mild and complacent. And Lou didn't.
Yes.
But when
Yeah.
it came down to it, they were really very similar in how they talked. She
Mhm.
wasn't as foul-mouthed as Lou, but
No.
you're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to make
Yeah.
me go back
No.
there. She cussed Jean-Luc out like, did you follow? You think I don't know how to take care of myself? She
Mhm.
kind of rated him the riot act a little bit. So,
Which was good. He needed it.
hmm yeah, she was nice. I have to say, now that came up, I think
Mhm.
she was the best part.
Mhm.
She was a nice surprise, and I liked her parts.
Yes. Yes. No, she was the best part of this whole book.
Even though
But
she was kind of hard-headed still. Like, she
of
would
course.
say things like, "But she's a witch," like those kind of like really,
She did it a couple times,
yeah.
which I thought was fair because of the way she was tortured in book 2. Like, but she got over it very quickly. And then she was more horrified that Lou heard her call her a whore and wanted to
She felt so
apologize for that.
bad. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god, she heard me."
She heard me
Oh.
say that I need to apologize. Oh my god, can we be friends? Yes, she was upset, but she got over it.
Yeah.
And we complained about Reed in book 2, how he dragged that out for 500 fucking pages before he finally got over the witch thing. So I'm glad Seeley got over it really fast.
Mhm.
She did what Reed couldn't fucking do and then had to go through all over again in this book because goddamn, we don't suffer enough with his angst.
Yeah, but I think also though, yeah, Celie was tortured by a witch, but she was saved by a witch.
Mhm.
So she had really two stark different experiences really
Oh,
quickly.
yes.
I was tortured, then saved. And this woman knows I used to be with her man. She has no reason
Mhm.
to like me, but she helped
Mhm.
me.
But she helped me. So now I'm going to help her and I'm going to
Mhm.
apologize. And yeah, I'm a little upset that she's a witch, but you know what? We're friends now. We're on this adventure together. I'm sticking with you. We're going to do this together.
Mhm.
And she's like, I'm absolutely 100% going to stab Morgan. And she fucking did it.
She did.
She did it.
She did. She was like, she took care of it.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, Miss Weak and
Yeah.
timid is
She
the
did
one with
it.
the knife. Yeah. I like her. I kind of like Jean-Luc too, even though he started off really ick at the beginning.
Okay, but did you believe that he was actually honorable and a hero? Because in book 1, he was such an asshole.
No, I think that he is kind of Reed 2.0. I feel like he is stuck in his ways, and it's going to take someone to force him out of it.
Seeley.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of similar. He's like thinking this is how it should be. I'm always right. And he will change just because of her.
Mm-hmm.
I think he even with Reed, he's kind of was like helping him. Remember when he was helping him in the book? He was trying to be mean. And it's like, put him on the horse. And it's like, put him on the horse. I mean, drag him. Just tag him to the horse.
Get him up. Yes.
He's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're supposed to be torturing him. Forget. But I feel like he has grown a little bit in the second book, and which leaves the door open for him to be. I bet he'll end up being more likable than Reed.
I hope so. I really hope so.
Because Reed is ick. I mean, even in this book. So the author did not fix the problem I had with Lou and Reed, which is, and the author actually called it out herself in the book. They were trying to figure out, when did we fall in love? When did we start liking each other? It was actually called out because we don't fucking know. You don't know. The characters don't know.
There was no specific moment. And I think she was beating a dead horse with how, oh, their love is the purest love. Their love is magic. Everybody can feel their love. Even when he doesn't love her, he loves her so much. Oh, listen to their glorious love story because it's so full of love and glory. And I was just like, shut the fuck up.
No.
If you have to tell me this 18 million times in the third book, I won't believe it.
She's trying to make it seem like it's one of those fated mates thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not that they actually fell in love, but I guess you can't use fated mates with the witches, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's essentially the story which she was trying to sell. Because even like so what I predicted did happen. The first part of the book, Lou was obviously taken over and she's having
Mm-hmm.
conversations with herself and other things in there with her, other people that weren't, what's her name? What's the lady's name? Nick Galena has taken.
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, so she's in this dark place doing these conversations, which I expected. So we didn't get to see her and Reed together as themselves this whole book, really, until the very end. So first it was her, she was the problem. And then Reed was the problem because he did some dumb shit like, oh, let me make everyone forget. Let me make her mother forget her. And that then I forget her, which also I think was an attempt to clean up the last situation with Lou and what's his face. But when that happened, so he wasn't himself. So he was the Reed of book 1 again. So I didn't even believe their relationship still because we didn't have any real moments between them.
There was no new growth. It was continuous of bullshit. I don't know. I don't have a phrase there. But yeah, it backpedaled so much because okay, so fucking Lou has been possessed. She's not in her own body. Nicolina is not hiding it well. Like,
it's so
what she
obvious.
was saying, she was talking in her rhymes. She was being cruel to everybody. Yes, Lou was in a bad place, but like, Jesus Christ. The people who supposedly love her the best were like, yeah, no, this is just the new Lou. She's talking about killing people. She's talking about the mice again. Like, they didn't hear Nicolina talk about the mice 5 million times.
They're so slow. So stuck on stupid.
Slow. So stupid. It was ridiculous.
Like, ew, she touched me. I feel like I want to Earl. Like, he's so disgusted by her. But then he's like, but I love her. Why do I feel like this? Why? He is so dumb.
So dumb.
And that was aggravating.
So dumb. Even Coco was like, is she pregnant?
Yeah, like, what's happening?
Pregnancy, like, messes with her brain.
Like, her ass ate raw meat. They're like,
yeah. She's tearing into meat with her teeth. And they're like, oh, it's just Lou being Lou.
No. But I would have believed their love. Like, let's say Reed had said, this is not her. Had immediately, like, he could call it out. I know her. This isn't her. And if he had forced Nicolina out, I would have been able to appreciate that. But that's not what happened.
They dragged that out forever. Like, Jesus Christ. It was so long.
Did you think that we needed to hear about Nicolina's past as a mother and all of that?
No.
When she was going by a different name and everything?
Honestly, I am more confused by the timelines now. Because, like, what the fuck? So, Nicolina is a couple centuries old, but Coco's mother and her aunt are much older than that. Morgan is also probably closer to their age, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. That was unclear too, because she was falling in love with gods, but also young enough to be Madame LaBelle's like bestie growing up. And I don't think Madame LaBelle is immortal, but like,
no, I don't think so.
I don't know. But then the whole thing with like, this is how the magic was started. This is how like the church came to be. This is Angelique's ring. This is what's his name, who watches the waters, who's also possibly Coco's father, but that was neither confirmed nor denied. And like, it was like, is everybody centuries old or are they 20 years old? Like, Coco saw her mother 6 years, or when she was 6 years old, but I thought their love story happened like 1,000 years ago. So like,
yeah, the timing is strange.
What is happening?
Mm-hmm.
And then so bringing all of that up just made it more confusing, not
Yes.
explaining
Yes.
it better.
I think that is probably one of my problems. I did kind of I tuned out at certain points because I'm like, what is happening? Or what? Like, I just could not grasp,
Mm-mm.
I guess, what the author wanted me to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's part of why I'm trying to give Shelby this grace of like, she's a new author. Maybe in a few years she'll
Look,
be
she's 4
better at
books in.
this.
She's not a new author anymore.
Yeah, no,
Hell,
at this
3 books
point,
in, you're not a new author. Are you?
technically, yes, because you're learning how to close a trilogy. And like, this is the world building you should have done in book 1, but I can forgive you for not knowing that in book 1. But like, no, at this point, come on.
No. Not to me. I just no. And the look on my face, y'all, not on Patreon, you missed the look. I was like, the fuck?
It was a beautiful look.
What? I looked at the camera like, oh, I'm making a face.
I'm trying to give her grace, but I was not impressed by this book. I was disappointed. It felt like she was like, oh my God, it's the final book. I need to throw in everything in the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to include mermaids. I'm going to include a dragon.
I was like,
I'm
mermaids?
Yeah, fucking mermaids. They mentioned the mermaids in book 2. I remember they mentioned them.
But
so
it
like
just
at least
felt so weird. I'm like,
but it
what
was
is this?
Weird.
Yeah, the mermaids, the dragon, and then I hate the trope of like, let's lose my memory. I'm like, oh God. Honestly, when that happened,
trope.
I really, I haven't posted on Goodreads. I'm like, please, not the memory. Oh God. That is how I felt.
See,
I'm like, here we go.
there could have been so many better other things that he did or lost. Like, he could have given up his magic to take away her magic, Morgane's magic. Like, that would have been a fair price. And that would have been an excellent thing to have to deal with. Of like, I'm no longer a witch. I can't help you. I'm not the weapon that I'm trying to pretend
And
I
now
want
I
to be at
a
this
witch.
point. And like, no.
Yeah.
Because there was that line in the final battle where he's like, I'm the weapon. And I was like, you idiot. You spent the last 3 books hating witches so much. You don't change that fast or that fully. Like,
Yeah.
and even when he lost his memories of just Lou, he reverted back to hating magic and forgetting he even had magic.
Which
like, they
is
had
not
to keep
really
hitting him over the head.
Yeah.
No. I think the author was trying to go for the point of like, magic is Lou is magic. He ties it all to her. Even though, again, like he refused to ever study magic with her. He always studied and practiced on his own or in the heat of battle. So like, he shouldn't have lost those memories.
Which Coco does actually call out. So one character does call it out, but it's not resolved.
No.
It's like she mentions it like, yeah, this is weird. You've practiced magic without her. So
yeah. So you're intentionally repressing this. Which, just lean into that. Make him give up magic entirely.
Right.
And then have to struggle with like, oh, this is what it feels like to be human. This is what it feels like to be me. And then that would have been so much better.
Yeah. Instead, we got pages and pages. Okay, so first let me just take one step back. So the lake, the water, the truth-telling water, whatever.
Yeah.
That segment was so fucking long. I'm like, why is this so long? When is it going to end? And then we got the memory loss. And I'm like, why is this taking so long? When is it going to end?
She dragged that out to the last fucking possible minute.
Yeah.
That annoyed me. Like that should have ended a lot faster. They're like, but no, as soon as he remembers, then Morgane will remember you. And I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter if Morgane remembers her or not. You're all going to fucking die anyway. Because she has plans on plans on plans. Like, this is it. You're dead.
Yeah, sounds like some more, I don't know, story plotting needed to happen. Or maybe I don't know. It fell flat for me in all those points that were supposed to be dun dun dun. I was like, I
Yeah,
guess.
sure.
And even like, okay, so I love a good action scene.
Mhm.
And I feel like we have read many a good fight scenes, war scenes.
Oh,
Pierce
yes.
Brown did them epically
Mhm. In space, but
in
yes.
space, but they were still at the root. You felt
Yes.
betrayal. You
Yes.
felt the backhand. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You felt the war.
Yes.
This scene, like this final stand or fight or whatever, I'm like, oh my God, when does this shit end? I just started glassing over. I'm like, oh my God, why is this so long? Why? I hated it. And I know that was supposed to be like the pentacle, right? This final, it's supposed to be great. And then we win and
Mhm.
yay. And I was like, the opposite.
Yeah. So I started getting really annoyed when they came up with their stupid ass plan because I was like, I have read this plan a million times. It's going to fail immediately. Even if I
Mhm.
hadn't read this plan a million times, you two are the two most wanted people of all time in this entire fucking kingdom. You don't think for 2 seconds that the king's gonna walk up to you and like immediately stab you with the poison? They're like,
Right?
no, no,
Right?
Jean-Luc is gonna protect us because he's a hero
Oh
now.
my
Jean-Luc is
God.
the captain. Like, you
He's
didn't
gonna
spend,
stab you, dummy. What? He
yeah,
can't not do it or he'll
the
out
king, yes.
himself.
Exactly. Exactly. And they're like, we're just
God.
going to pretend to be stabbed, but our eyes are wide open, staring at everything. Like we're conscious and watching you. And of course, after you're stabbed, our eyes roll into the back of our heads because now we're unconscious. I'm like, duh,
Duh.
duh. Like, fucking duh. What did you expect? Did you think he was going to put you in the same fucking room as Madame Labelle? Like, no fucking way was that going to happen.
That was a horrible plan.
It was the worst plan. I would have enjoyed this moment better if they had come up with a different plan and then it failed epically and then they got captured. Because at least then it would have been different. At least then they would have had like some kind of like moment of like, we're doing this, we're on our way. Oh no, here's the king, we're caught.
But that's maybe this does lend into what you were saying of inexperience in writing these
Mm-hmm.
kind of scenes because again, we have and I'm telling you, I feel like Pierce Brown has the crown with those type of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
We have been in scenes where we're like, that is dumb. Why
Mm-hmm.
are they doing that? And
Mm-hmm.
then you get there, he's 2 steps ahead of us. And then it comes
Yes.
back around, you're like, oh my God, it was
Yes.
fake. It
The
was
big
so
reveal
fake.
and you're screaming at the book because how the fuck did you miss this detail?
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Whereas here, they're like, here's our detailed plan.
and it's
We're
just
gonna
dumb.
outline it everywhere. And then it fails instantly because of
Epically.
course it's gonna fail instantly. Like,
Yeah, and there was no comeback. It wasn't
no.
even like, yeah, we had a deviation for this. We just didn't tell you. Aha! It was
Yeah,
nothing.
no. It was like, oh, we failed because we're bad at this. Yes, you are bad at this. Yes, you did fail
Yes,
because you are bad at this.
Let's take a break because we need a break from all this awfulness. And we're going to listen to some commercials. You guys, by listening to those, you are supporting the podcast. And don't forget to pick up a copy of the book review journal available right now. It makes a great gift, or if you need a new journal for yourself. And we'll be right back because we have more comments on Gods and Monsters as well as housekeeping and other things. Stay with us. Welcome back. Yeah, the plan was dumb. The plan was dumb for the sake of being dumb, which I hate.
Yes.
And the final showdown was also dumb.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. It was so bad. They're literally on the platform about to get burned. The tiny spark lights under their feet. But then the king burns himself way faster than the hay under their feet. Because, like, he's dead in 2 seconds. They're like 10 minutes in, Bo's still trying to untie them. And it's just not happening. And then Reed gets free. And then fucking Lou is like, I'm going to take everybody's pain because I've done this before. So, like, I'm going to take on 4 people's burning pain while also being actually burned alive. And then nothing happens.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Which
It's
is
okay.
weird.
Like, her hair's not even singed off. She didn't lose her eyebrows. She's not burned to death. She's not unconscious. She's just like, yeah, let's go fight. Let's run around and fight because I can still breathe.
You have to have a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
So even if Lou, I don't know, had her whole right arm burned and scarred, that's something.
Yes.
That's something.
Yes, her feet should be burned because her feet were in the fire the longest.
Right.
She should be unconscious because, remember in book 1, and they kept bringing this up like 3 or 4 fucking times, she took on the pain of the witch she was burning.
Yep.
And she screamed and screamed and screamed and passed out. And she was unconscious for like 3 or 4 days when she did that.
Right.
Now she's a lot stronger and has the magic of the 3 goddesses. But like, she should be unconscious for 10 minutes then.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I'm fine. You pulled me out of the debris. And like, I don't even have a scratch on me. I was like, bitch, no.
Unless
you should be bloody and burned and coughing up mucus and like.
And if it wasn't, we should have gotten some details about how the goddess's power protected her or how it worked in unexpectedly or how something else to buffer that.
Yes.
That we didn't get.
Because the men were burned, but then Coco started crying, so her tears turned into rain and cured everybody because of course it did. And then Lou is just totally fine. And I was like, no, if you're going to do this, there needs to be some sort of consequence for your actions. Like, the worst thing possible happens, something bad needs to happen with it. Even if it's her feet are burned, and so she's running around in pain on bloody feet because the blisters keep popping.
Something.
Like, something.
Give us something.
Give us something. Don't give us the happiest-go-lucky ever fight scene. Because now you remind me of Stephanie Meyer, where the bad guys show up and then they shake hands and leave. Like,
oh wait, this is what could have happened.
Yeah,
that really happened.
Right. I will say, I was surprised she killed off one of Beau's sisters.
Yeah.
But I don't even know who the fuck this girl is. So, like, I don't care that she's dead. I was surprised that she did it, but I don't care.
What do
it
they
would have
call
been
that?
so much more emotional if Beau had died.
She was what do you call those where someone's like a sacrifice for no reason, it doesn't even pay off.
Yeah, that's exactly what she was.
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, she died, but even Beau wasn't really put out. It was like, yeah,
he cried for 10 minutes and then he wanted sticky buns.
Exactly, like we're all gonna chill in the bakery and eat these fresh sticky buns. Like what?
Yeah, no. I think somebody came up to her after, was like, you need to kill somebody here. And she's like, all right, I'll just kill the sister. So then somebody's sad. But then, like, they're not sad.
No, they're not sad. It was a waste.
It was an absolute waste of killing off a character.
I'm looking at the little end. I'm trying to see where was it what do you call it at the end? Was it a time? It was a time jump at the end, wasn't it?
With the epilogue?
In the epilogue?
Not by much.
Okay, so yeah, that horrible ending, and then we have this epilogue, which, okay, so to give the author credit, when Ansel appeared around the 200-ish page mark, that kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's Ansel.
I mean, I guess that as soon as they were like, yeah, there's a new white wolf following us, and the other animals have disappeared, and it's weird that Lou hasn't named this one and ignores it because Lou's not Lou, but we don't care about that. And I was like, it's probably the ghost of Ansel now.
You thought that the whole time?
I did.
They kept mentioning the wolf, but it was like in one ear and out the other for me. Like, I didn't even think about Ansel. I didn't think of anything really, which is bad because usually I'm like conspiracy theory. Like, what is it? Who is it? And it just totally, I didn't give two shits about it.
I was like, with everything that's going down and the fact that we have gods and monsters now and everybody's so continuously upset that Ansel's dead, I feel like this is the ghost of Ansel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me just, reading way into it and guessing.
Well, he came and he helped her. He relieved her and Coco of their guilt. He relieved them of that. And okay, that was a little nice little part, Okay, great. He seems like he's going to be gone. And then he shows up in the epilogue. He's like being a creep, standing around.
He turned around while she was dressing, so he wasn't staring at her.
But he's just hanging around during the wedding stuff, and he's just like, it's weird. I'm like, I feel like the author didn't need to do that. I feel like he could have left him. He said his goodbyes, right? Leave him there.
Yeah.
I don't think I needed to see him again in the epilogue, personally.
I was over it at that point, too. I was over the whole book at that point, so I was like, yeah. Stepping back, I can kind of understand. Like, it's a nice way to, like, super happy wrap this up. The one dead character anybody cares about is happy, and he's happy for his friends, and he's talking about how their love is the truest love, and he's always believed in their love. It was annoying, but, like, I'm almost happy it was from his point of view and not Lou's or Reed's, because if it was from their point of view, it would be way worse gush-wise.
You know what? Does someone else have to watch the waters now?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll be him.
I hope so. I thought it was going to be Coco, because she kept getting in the water, and, like, the water was talking to her, and then her mother appeared. But I was like, is it going to be Coco? Because she had the relationship with this dude who might or might not be her father. I'm not going to let that go. Like, was he her father?
I feel like it was, but it was just not said. I feel like it was. Yeah. She thought it might have been.
But her mother never confirmed or denied.
But why? That's another thing. Like, why? What does it matter at this point? Say if that's the father. What does it matter? Yeah. What would have changed?
I had a thought at that part, and I was like, this series would have been so much better if it was Coco's story the whole time. Like, if Lou and Reed were kind of the side story and we were focused on Coco, because even her relationship with Bo had more depth than Lou and Reed. And, like, yeah, they were a one-night stand, which we never got to see how that started. And then Bo just, like, randomly decided to quit being Prince and run away with her. So, like, what did she do to him to make him leave everything for this adventure?
Now he's a king, though.
Now he's a king, but he was a prince at the time. But, like, he gave up everything for her and was happy. He complained a little bit, but, like, I would have rather read their story.
Yeah, I think maybe the author will do another spinoff with them, or maybe they'll come up again, in this other story.
I kind of hope so, because, like...
By the way, so you have the hard copy of this? Did you have the hard copy?
No, I got it from the library this time, because I didn't want to buy it.
Because I didn't even notice at the back of this is the first thing for the Scarlet Veil. It's at the back, the prologue.
Okay, so,
it's at the back.
So open it up. Tell us what it is.
Evil lurks in Belterra. Read on for a sneak peek at the Scarlet Veil.
Oh, okay.
So let's see. It's a prologue that is like 14 pages.
Whose point of view is it?
I don't. Okay, so it doesn't say like a name at the top, but I think it's what's her face?
Celie,
yeah, because she talks about my mother applied her oil every morning and she stared at her reflection. My father smoked his pipe when he was receiving guests. Blah blah blah. Is her mother's name Philippa?
That was her sister.
Okay,
her sister who got murdered in chapter 1.
Okay, so this is back in time. Like clockwork, Philippa would reach for her silver brush when our nursemaid Evangeline lit the candles, blah, blah, blah. So this is a throwback. This history. She's like thinking of the past. Then here's chapter 1, 12 years later. So the prologue is a before, and then 12 years later. I think this might all be from her point of view.
Ooh.
I think. because it doesn't have a name. It just says it doesn't have. You know how this one went back and forth
between Lou and Reed.
Yeah, I think this might be all her POV.
Okay,
maybe?
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have her name, right?
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Let's find out more.
Ugh, no, I'm not doing it. I'm looking at the book. I'm trying not to read. I'm like, read. No, I'm not doing it. You can't make me. That's how I feel. But my luck, you're going to come back and be like, it was the best damn book ever. And I'll be like, why? I don't know.
We'll see. Maybe, she had a critique partner come up to her after Gods and Monsters and just kicked her ass and was like, you need to make this better. Because you need critique partners who will kick your ass. They'll hold your hands, but they'll kick your ass.
I agree. Oh, you know what? I did want to ask you, what did you think about the couple of scenes that Lou and Reed had that were
the
kind of sexy scenes? Yeah.
They were weird.
So Reed, he's acting very different now that he didn't remember her. Like that whole scene where he's like telling her what to do and telling her, I'm like, wait.
He's very aggressive.
I'm like, he wasn't like that before.
He was very scared in book 1 because he's like, I've never done this. I don't know what to do. So he was saying his body remembered and his body knew and he wanted that release, but his brain was like getting in the way. But like,
so he's telling her to like masturbate and all this stuff. It's very weird. It feels very like the author was trying on a different type of sex scene for size to see how it works. It just didn't really jive with what I was familiar with from this pairing.
Yeah, no.
It seemed weird and kind of out of place. And I'm like, I remember, I'm like, oh my God, what is this? I kind of felt like it was out of place.
It was out of place. I think she kind of wants to push herself to go darker and sexier in other books. And I feel like if she ever does anything with Coco and Bo, it will be a lot sexier. Because at one point, Coco said, like, kink is consensual, but this isn't consensual or something. And I was like, are you going to try and bring kink into this? Because I don't want that. Maybe in Coco's book.
So,
but like,
okay, this is my problem, though. If she wants to test the waters and go a little bit more adult feeling, why in the hell are you writing young adult books?
Because it's what sells, and because publishing puts women into young adult, even if their characters are adult. Because
you know what, Sarah J. Maas is not writing young adult.
That's what it's labeled as, though. That's what her publisher labels
her
it
new
as.
Stuff cannot be labeled as new young adult. It can't be. Like, I know her old Throne of Glass was, and I know the first 3 books of the, Court of Thorns and Roses or whatever, ACOTAR. I know that was, but distinctly there is a clear line of demarcation. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. So most booksellers and bookstores don't care. They will put all of her books together. And if the first one is labeled as young adult, they will put books 1 through 7 in the same spot because, when the customer walks in, the customer wants to go to one spot to get all of the books. They're not wanting to walk back and forth in every which way to like, oh, book 1 is over here, but book 3 is over here, and book 7's here because it's in the super erotica area or whatever. Like, no, they're just going to put everything together in one spot. So it's all still lumped under young adult.
I have a problem with that because I feel like we talked about this in our after show. You're marketing to one group, but trying to write for another group.
Yes.
That's not right.
No.
And if this author is trying to grow up her characters and have more, I don't know, spicier scenes, then the labeling needs to change.
Yes. Which it's young adult. They're They're spicy, but they're not that bad. Like, I would be okay with a teenager reading this.
Yeah, but what if you said, what if Coco and Bo get different scenes? So what if Celie and Jean-Luc get different scenes? It's tagged as YA.
It is. So, I don't know. Celie was saying she's a prude, so she might not get too crazy. But it's the industry publishing. Women who ever want to write fantasy will 99% of the time be shoved into YA fantasy because, women can't write fantasy. It has to be adult. Because, sexism, misogyny, it's bullshit.
See, that's, I think, part of the reason why they created a new grouping. Because mass books, like if you look at the Choice Awards for last year, Sarah J. Maas, she falls under the romantasy column now. She was not... I think she falls under romantasy. She didn't have anything new last year.
I'm glad we have this new genre because now we can try and grow and have adult characters here and not call it young adult, because young adult is 4, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. It's coming of age. It's learning to be your true self. Not, can I have kinky sex with everybody?
Yeah, like I'm looking, Fourth Wing is under romantasy. It's not YA.
That's good.
The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King that we read last summer, that is also here. It's not under YA. So, I mean, I feel like, yes, I think that is probably still true in a lot of cases, but I wish they would stop doing it. Because now there's another place for these stories to lie.
Yes.
Where it doesn't have to be quote unquote YA. And people are reading, I feel like, this is a little off topic, but on Book Talk, people are all in on dark romance and romantasy. I feel like YA is on the downslope right now. I feel like, yeah, there's still a lot, or maybe my algorithm has changed because I'm seeing so many people reading older books with characters that are older.
That's the case. I think that might be your algorithm a little bit because I still see a lot of adult women specifically wanting young adult stuff, but I'm hoping that they're moving on and finding older characters to relate to. But I hope that YA can go back to being what it was and be for the teenagers and have, 2 kids fumbling around in the back seat because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, that's realistic. And that's what kids should be reading. Like, this is what sex at 16 is. It's not going to be earth-shattering.
Because Reed was straddling up to the line. He was right at it. At these sex scenes. I'm like, it felt very different. I'm like, what is this?
He was more aggressive and it was angrier and he, I didn't like it.
Which I didn't like it either. Now, we read spicy stuff. We like spicy stuff, but I like it when it's appropriate for the book.
Yes. Appropriate for the book, appropriate for the characters.
Right.
Because he was so angry with her that, this wasn't quite hitting it either. He wouldn't have been sweet and gentle the way he was the first time, but I don't know that he should have necessarily been this aggressive.
This was some random shit to me, just random. And I didn't really like it. There was so much I did not like.
That's okay.
I feel like the author stepped backwards with this book to me.
It was like, oh yeah, at the end of the last book, I had this big reveal that this guy's going to be a god. So now I have to make all of these bigger reveals and make it bigger and better. I was like, no, you don't. Also, why the fuck do you keep bringing in these random old men who save the day? Like the new father guy who they met at the very beginning who gave them food.
Gosh.
And then here he is at the end being like the most sane person and trying to save the witches, even though he believes in God and works for the church. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
this makes no sense. He's Claude 2.0.
Yeah.
But what? No.
It's weird. This whole thing.
It was so weird.
And I wanted to like it on our Discord. There were a couple comments that seemed that the book club was liking it more.
I'm
in
excited to see what
general.
they have to say.
But unfortunately for me, it didn't hit.
It didn't hit
And
for me either.
so when we give our rating, I'm about to do something controversial. Or maybe not. Maybe not. For y'all that are familiar with me, that's not going to be controversial at all.
This is you. I'll be like, yep, we expected this.
Yeah. It's different from what I just told you before we hit record.
I figured. The more we
You're like,
I'm watching your face. Yes.
I know you. I already know what's going to happen. You're a predictable ass book, Tamara. I know what's going to happen. I get it.
No, we've been doing this for so long, and I'm watching your face, and I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm like, oh yeah, she hated this so much more. We're being nice in this podcast right now.
It's trash. I don't like it. And to be honest, again, so I read some and listened some, and I cannot express enough. If you did not listen to the other conversations that we had, and this is your first time, do not pick this up on audiobook. Do not do it. Do not do it. Holter Graham just throws me off every time it reads parts. Every time the narration was tough.
Oof.
The grumbling, oh God, no. And some people really loved it. I think maybe they were just really into the story. Like if you look at the reviews on Audible, they're not that many, to be fair. But only one person kind of called out Holter Graham's narration. But I think maybe people just love the story. But if you're sensitive to narrators, just skip it. Just read it. Because this dude, he is too old to be read. He's too old. That's all. That's just my 2 cents on the audiobook. And I do like Holter Graham. And I mentioned in a previous episode, I like him for older characters. Not young. It throws the equilibrium off. I'm like, what is this?
Because Reed is 18.
Yeah.
Like he needs to have a deep voice, but it doesn't need to be that deep because his balls are still dropping.
Look, in that scene, hearing that sex scene, hearing a very domineering type of person.
Ooh, that would really throw me off because
I was waiting for him to like act like a wolf and do something wolfy, or I just was like, what? It pulled me completely out of the story in the worst way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I will avoid it.
It's bad. Anywho, I think I've said my piece. Are there any other things you think we should cover?
I mean, we could keep ripping this book apart, but I think we can take a step back and bow out now. I'm sure, like, I could bring up something and you'd just, like, go off on a tangent, but I don't want to do that to you.
It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much for this to happen with this book. Or trilogy, honestly.
No.
So, okay, I guess we should go ahead and rate it then.
Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, well, I'll go first then, since you already know. 2 stars.
Yeah.
So, the first book got 2, the second book got 3, and we're back to 2. And the bottom line is, I would not recommend this trilogy to anyone that I know. Anyone that likes what I like should not read this. And that's just the truth. Sorry, not sorry. Your turn.
That's okay. I had such high hopes for this entire trilogy. The first book, I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it when I read it the first time. I thought the rest of the series would be better. To be fair, I was very drunk when I read it. So, like, when I read book 1. But ultimately, no. And with this book, I'm so disappointed. And it's so frustrating. Although I love Seeley, so I might actually go read Seeley's book.
Do you have a ghost in your house?
I think I have a ghost in my house. That was from my kitchen. There's nobody in my kitchen. That scared me. I'm sorry. Okay.
Do you want to go look?
Shelby. Oh my god.
I'm like, oh, what is that noise?
I'm going to ignore it. No, this book disappointed me so much, so I'm giving it 3 stars.
Okay. And 3 isn't okay. So in
Three
my
is
world,
not
3 isn't
bad.
bad. 3 isn't
No,
bad. It's okay.
it's
It's like
okay.
literally fine.
Yeah.
But this was worse than fine for me. And I got through it fairly quickly, to be fair.
Mhm.
It wasn't as slow as I thought it would be. So the pacing for me was okay, but I think I was I was driven to finish this. You know what I mean? I was
Mhm.
very focused to finish it because I had other stuff to do.
Mhm.
So I don't think I allowed myself the time or the luxury to be wishy-washy about finishing it.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
that is why I finished it so quickly. It definitely wasn't because the story was so great.
You're right. The pacing was better in this book than book 2. Book 2 was slow as fuck. This one
Mhm.
at least had more action. But again, it was like she was like, I have to throw everything in here. Let
Mhm.
me, bring in everything at the last minute because why not?
Why
And
not?
it felt so piecemealed and awful and unthought through.
Yes,
So,
that's exactly it. So, okay, I guess we're going to end things there for this book. If
yes, the
you
series.
read this series, let us know. Did you like it? Hate it? Feel mad about it? You think, Tamara, you are smoking something? This shit is great. Tell me. I want to know.
Yes.
Defend your rating.
Yes. Tell us.
And
Tell us why you give it 5 stars.
yeah, I'm open to listen, That
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm going to change anything, but I'm open to listening. And okay, so before we tell you what is next, because we can't tell you what is next because we don't know what is next. Here's the housekeeping segment. So for you guys, we are actually by the time this podcast is up, the poll is live on Patreon. There are 2 series options, trilogy options
Mhm.
on Patreon, and Patreon members are going to select which one we are doing next.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I picked one and Casey picked one, and we're not gonna tell y'all which is which.
Nope. They're 2 very different series.
Yes, they're very different. And I think it's going to be fun regardless. Whichever way we go, I think it's going to be fun. And so
Mhm.
you'll want to stay tuned and join us on all the different places so you see what we're reading next
Well, no,
because
you wanna join Patreon and tell us what we're reading
yeah.
next.
Yeah,
You're gonna
join.
make sure that the next series is not trash.
Yeah, please. Like do y'all research. And if it's
Yes.
something you read and loved and you want to hear our opinion on it, this is a perfect time for you to just tell us what you want.
Yes. No, tell us. You
Yeah.
need to pick the next series because our last 2 picks have not been the best, obviously.
I feel like,
So,
in the last year, we've had some really good hits, but we've had a lot of
we've
misses
had a
too.
lot of misses
We've
too.
had a lot of misses recently, which is why we want to put the power in your hands. So,
Yes.
and still, I was telling Trinette, love you. She's our
Mhm.
Patreon and she's
Love,
in our
love
book club.
Trinette.
I was telling her, like, don't worry. If it goes wrong, I won't blame anyone but myself. Because ultimately we picked them again. So we picked them.
We put them up for nomination, but you tell us which one to
Yes.
read.
So don't worry. I won't blame anyone but
Mhm.
myself if it ends up being bad because we picked the choices. But we're going to let you tell us which is the better of the 2 choices. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
let's cross all our fingers, all the toes.
Mhm.
We need a win. It's March. We need a win.
Yes.
So we won't be back next month with a fantasy
Mhm.
series. We'll be back kicking
In
off
May.
May 1. So you want to join
Yes.
on book clubs, join on Patreon, follow us on social. So when you see the notifications go up, you can get your books because it's going to go up
Yes.
before January 1. So you'll see,
May
you'll
1.
know. May 1. Did I say January?
You said January. I'm just like, we're not going to
I'm trying to go back into time and redo these 3 books. No.
I thought you
But
were like jumping ahead of next year. Like I give up on 2024.
girl, no. But yeah, so follow, subscribe on Patreon, place your vote, and yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
It
I
will
think
be.
that's all we have for today. Is that it?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to continue on. The after show is available for you right now. If you want to hear what we're talking about over there, you've already had a sample. You hear the kind of stuff we talk about.
This one, we actually have some juicy stuff to talk about because
juicy.
some shit hit like after we recorded that one.
Like the next day. Like literally.
Literally
like
the next day.
And then shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
You want to listen to that? Yes. We have some comments, and that's it.
Also,
we're gonna
go check and see if there's a ghost in my kitchen.
Yeah, we're gonna end this there. Casey's gonna check on her ghost, and then we'll continue on with the after show. So thank you guys so much for listening to this entire episode. We appreciate you for being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us. Do all the things, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Did you enjoy today's episode? If so, please head over to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave a positive 5-star review. It's a simple action that makes a big difference. You can also like this episode on your favorite podcast player or share it with your fellow bookworm friends on social media. Joining the Shelf Addiction Patreon family is another way to support us. For as little as $2 a month, you can help our team create even more amazing bookish content. If Patreon isn't your thing, consider becoming a supporter on the Spreaker app for just $5 a month and gain access to exclusive audio-only content. You can find me everywhere, including Instagram, X, and TikTok under the handle Shelf Addiction. Join our book club of the same name on the book club's website and app, where we discuss all things bookish and more in a safe space. The Shelf Addiction podcast is a part of the Nerdy Maven Network. Thanks for tuning in.